students, today we are going to discuss about the components of ecosystem, which is the part of nature and environment of unit 6, science and technology, grade 9. Dear students, what is there around you? Yes, there are various types of things. Some are physical and some are biological. That means some are living things and some are non-living things. What are living things? Yes, those which possess life, those are living things. And those which do not possess life, those are non-living things. These things make a environment. That means make an environment means how all these components interdependent of each other. There is a need of physical component or abiotic component for the living things, as well as those living things help to balance those physical components too. So today we are going to discuss about those things which we see around us. Okay, see this? What do you see? There is crop farm, there are some trees, and there is cloud, and there is air. Also in the second picture you can see there water, some trees, birds, fishes, and so many things you can see here. There is soil also. So this is an environment. This is the nature where we live. That means whatever things present around us or in our surrounding, that makes our nature or that makes our environment. Those all natural things are not made by us. These are naturally generated. And those components are very essential for our life. So, just when you are in home and you are in school, what do you observe around? Yes? Yes, that is your environment. Whatever things present in your surrounding, that forms environment. Yes? There are some plants which are growing in the pot, and there is a deer which is playing in a garden. There is earthworm which is just crawling on the ground in the soil, and some people sowing seeds in a ground. There is also another kind of environment where you can see different than these things. Yes, just another one, there is sunlight. Yes, so there are various things which we see around us. That means everything which is present around us form our environment. Just think for a moment. What is the relationship between living and non-living things in the environment? Already we have seen there are different kinds of animals, plants, there is water, there is soil, there is sunlight, and also there are various other physical components, how they are interrelated with each other. Can you think for some time? Yes. All the living things survive in the nature, and based on the environment, nature of the plants and animal is also different. For example, when we see in the desert land, what kind of plants and animals we see? Are they similar to the plants and animals which are growing in Himalayan region? No. Why? the environment of the desert land is different from the environment of the Himalayan region. So this environment determines the what kind of plants and animals should be grown in a particular environment. Due to very high temperature and deficiency of water in the desert land, we find the animals having very long legs, long eyebrows, eyelashes, flat foot, etc. Okay, and just like plants which have very long root system, strong root system are grown on the desert, and their leaves are also modified into thorns. Similarly, which are growing in the Himalayan region, they have different structure. That means animal's body is covered with thick fur. Similarly, the plants which are growing in the Himalayan region are cone shaped. Leaves are very thin, which help them to prevent, that means protect themselves from the snowfall. So based on this, that means environmental condition, there is modification of the different morphological and physiological functions of the plants and animals also different. So there is a relation between living and non-living things present in an environment. These two examples show that there is a direct relationship between the different physical components of a particular environment and living organisms present in that environment. What is the interrelationship between biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem or a surrounding? See here, there are various kind of organisms are growing in this particular environment. Okay, and how this form a level, a hierarchical level of the environment. Single individual, there is individual animal, individual plants. These are very small unit. Okay, and the more number, that means large number of same species, that is called population. Same species of animal, same species of plants, like that. It forms the population. And population of different species who are residing in a particular area in a particular time, that is called community. It is, that means this different population forms the community. Then in that there is this community are in an ecosystem. There is an ecosystem where different communities are present. The different environmental factors are affecting, and whole living organisms which are present on the surface of the earth, that is called biome or biosphere. Okay, in this way, from it starts from the individual and it the large or the broad spectrum reaches up to the biosphere. So in this way we can define community. Just what is community? Group of living organisms living in a common environment and interdependent on each other. They are depending on one another. Just like plants depend on the water, sunlight, carbon dioxide, soil, etc. for its survival. That means it photosynthesizes the food in the presence of sunlight by using carbon dioxide and water in its leaf. That food is again taken by the different organisms present in that ecosystem. They are interdepending each other. After the death of these animals and plants, microbes convert them into again humus, which is again the physical component that is utilized. That means so inside the soil there is humus that forms the nutrients for the plants. And also during photosynthesis they used to take carbon dioxide and release the oxygen. It is balancing. Again during respiration, plants and animals both are taking oxygen and throwing carbon dioxide, which we called it as a breathing. Okay, during breathing what they do? They take oxygen, throw carbon dioxide. But green plants take carbon dioxide during photosynthesis and release oxygen. In this way, carbon dioxide and oxygen is also balanced. So, these different components, that means physical component and biological components, are interdependent with each other. Then, what is ecology? Whole ecosystem, whole environment, we study in a different branch of biology. Every component of this environment we read separately and form a branch of biology. That branch of biology that deals with the study of environment or ecological system is called ecology, or environmental system or the ecosystem is called ecology. Now, just see this, how animals, plants and physical factors are interrelated. Here, plant is photosynthesizing food by using carbon dioxide. During that, it is releasing oxygen. And this human being and other animals breathe. While breathing, they take oxygen and throw carbon dioxide. In this way, there is a balance of gases in the environment. Then, how these plants and animals help the nature. See, after the death of plants, that means leaves fall down, these plant parts also after death, they will, that means if the branch of plant is broken, it will mix in the soil. There are different kinds of microorganisms which are present in the soil, like fungus, like what are the fungus? Already we have discussed, yes. This is mushroom, then there are rhizopus, there are mucor, those fungus and bacteria, earthworm, they decompose these organic matters, either plants dead part or animals dead part decomposed and it mixed into the soil in the form of humus, which contain rich amount of minerals. Similarly, it releases carbon dioxide that form the physical component. In this way, they are interrelated with each other. See, another example, decomposition, you have seen every day. So, in this, that means the complex molecule will be converted into simpler molecule by the different kinds of microorganism, that is decomposition. Okay, this is about the different parts of the ecosystem, that means environment. Then what is ecosystem? Have you heard about the ecosystem? Yes? In a grassland, that means suppose there are some grasses are growing. Yes? What you find here? These are the grasses. There is soil. Okay? This is soil. In this soil, there is water also, air also. That is, water is also present here. And these roots of these plants used to absorb this groundwater which is present in the soil. And these grasses are eaten by the grasshopper. Yes, this grasshopper eating these grasses. Okay, and again this grasshopper will be eaten by frog. Yes, this frog is eating these grasses. Yes, again this frog will be eaten by the snake. Yes, then if this snake will die, then again what happens, there are different kinds of fungus, bacteria, they will decompose and again mix into the soil. Yes, there is air also which contain carbon dioxide. During photosynthesis it is using, there is sunlight. In this way one environment is created. This is an ecosystem where there is a, that means in this, these organisms are interrelated with these non-living things. There is a deep and complex relationship between the living things and non-living things in a particular environment, that is called ecosystem. Just see here, we can see this is upper part. In this upper portion, you can see there is water. Inside the water, there are small phytoplankton, zooplankton. These are eaten by other insects, small aquatic insects, and these are eaten by the small fishes, and these small fishes are eaten by big fishes, and also crocodile eating the fishes. In this way, there is a life cycle, is that means a cyclic way of transfer of energy is going on. That means there is, what are the physical factors you see here? There is sunlight, there is air, there is water, there is soil. Yes, in the below also, here also there is a large tree. Yes, and there is air, which is oxygen, carbon dioxide is shown here. There is sunlight. Yes, there are different animals. There is soil. Inside the soil also there is minerals, nutrients, water are present. All these components are interrelated with each other. This interrelation, that means that complex type of interrelationship among these organisms to survive in an environment, this is called ecosystem. Okay, here just we can see one is, and that means inside the water also there is ecosystem, on the land also there is ecosystem. So how can we define the ecosystem? The complex interrelationship between the living organisms and physical environment in the environment is called ecosystem. That means always that there is interlinkage. That means they are depending on one another. One cannot survive without another. One cannot exist without another. Such relationship is called ecosystem or environmental ecosystem. Who studied this ecosystem at first? British ecologist A.G. Tansley was the first person who studied about this relationship and coined the term and developed the concept of ecosystem in the year 1988. Next one is, what are the types of ecosystem? Just now we have seen in the picture there is some organisms are growing in the water, inside the water, some are growing on the land. Based on that, what type of ecosystem we can see? In this picture, what you see? Just what are the biotic and abiotic factors of the following ecosystem? Can you see here? It is a land. There is rabbit, there is fox, yes, there is a bird, plants, and also there is some mushrooms are growing on the trunk of dead tree like this. Small plants are also there. And in this we can see there are small fishes, aquatic plants, small plants, and other aquatic organism we can see. So based on this is land and this is water. Based on this presence of organisms in a particular environment, we divide the ecosystem into two types, that is aquatic ecosystem and terrestrial ecosystem. What is aquatic ecosystem? Can you define? Just now we have seen the ecosystem of the water, that means interrelationship between the living things or the aquatic animals and aquatic plants inside the aquatic environment, that is called aquatic ecosystem. Whereas the interrelationship between the terrestrial animals or the land animals and the plants growing on the land, that is also with the terrestrial environment, that is soil, water, air, sunlight, etc., which are present in the land, around the land, that is called terrestrial ecosystem. Okay, just we discuss about the different components of the ecosystem. What are the components of the ecosystem? Till now we have seen various places where different organisms are growing. Yes? What are the components of the ecosystem? What do you mean by components? That means each and every factor, just like animals, plants, microorganisms, sun, air, water, whatever present around the surrounding in our environment, those are the component of the ecosystem. That means which helps to form an ecosystem, those each and every factor are the components of the ecosystem. Mainly these are divided into two types. What are those? Biotic component and abiotic component. Biotic components means what? That means those organisms which possess life. Those organisms which possess life, those are called living components or living organisms, or those are called biotic components. Bio means life. Okay, so those all components which possess life, those comes under biotic component. And those which do not possess life, those are the physical component. All the non-living things or the physical components present in the surrounding or in an environment, that is called a biotic component. Okay, inside the biotic component, what we find? What are the biotic components? Are all the organisms which we see in the surrounding are similar? No. Why not? Yes, some possess. Already we have studied the classification of organisms. Yeah, there are various kind of organisms. Even though those are living things, they have dissimilar characteristic too. Based on their dissimilarities, we can again divide them into different forms like plants, animals, and based on their size, some are microorganisms also. Yes, so these biotic components are divided into various types. Those which can prepare their own food and prepare food for others also, which can produce food, which can produce something, those are called producers. Especially green plants are producers. Green plants means in this, those, what they do, why these green plants are called producers? Can you say? Yes, by the process of photosynthesis. That means what is photosynthesis? See, during photosynthesis, what happens? They use carbon dioxide from the air. Okay, and they absorb water from soil. Okay, if it is aquatic organism, they get water from there only. By using this water in the presence of sunlight, yes, from the sun it is sunlight. Then in chlorophyll, what they do? They will synthesize food. What is that? C6H12O6. You have already studied in class 8 also this reaction, that is photosynthesis reaction. By using carbon dioxide and water, green plants synthesize glucose or carbohydrate. This process is called photosynthesis. Here physical component. What are the physical components? This is air is physical component, from which it is taking carbon dioxide. Soil, from soil it is taking water and minerals too. And another one is sun. From the sun it is taking light, source of energy, and it is performing the chemical reaction by using different kinds of hormones and enzymes. And it is preparing the food for itself, as well as this food is taken by the other organisms too. Because of that, these green plants are called producers. And next one is consumer. Those which cannot prepare their own food, they depend on the producers. Those are called consumers. Okay? And these consumers, based on the level of feeding, these are again classified into primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. This directly feeding on the producer, those are primary. Those feed on the primary, those are secondary. and those consumers which feed on the secondary consumers, those are tertiary consumers. Even more than this also, just like quaternary and pentenary consumers are also there, but in some ecosystem only we can see those. Next one is decomposer. In this biotic component, after the death of these producers and consumers, what happens? This would be again mixed to complete the cyclic way of the environment. There is a need of decomposition. They have to again be converted into physical components like minerals, humus, and carbon dioxide, water. Those again, this decomposer, after death of these producers and consumers, it will decompose into the soil. That means again it will mix into the soil. So in this way, these biotic components are divided into various types. And another one is abiotic components. In this abiotic component, we have air, solar energy, water, soil. These all have a very important role. We have already discussed here. Okay. Next, in this picture, there is abiotic component this side, biotic component this side. See, what are the abiotic components? Sunlight, different kinds of nutrients which are available in the soil, and air, then heat energy released from the every stages, and there are biotic components, producers, consumers, decomposers, energy is transferred in this cyclic way. So what are the essential abiotic components? Air, water, soil, solar energy. Now what is air? All of you know that air is a mixture of different kinds of gases which is made up of, okay, what are the gases present in the atmosphere? Especially atmosphere is the layer of air, yeah. So what are the components present in it? Yes, there is 78% of nitrogen, nearly 21% of oxygen, 0.04% of carbon dioxide, and some water vapor is also present. All of you know that green plants takes the carbon dioxide and throw the oxygen during photosynthesis, but during breathing every organism take oxygen and throw carbon dioxide. Next one is water. Where is water? See, water is present in a different sources like river, pond, and other groundwater also. Yes, there are various form of water which is taken by the animals and plants. Plants used to take the water with the help of its roots, then animals used to directly drink, or while making food from fruits, from different kind of food, animal used to get water. And next one is, what is the role of water in the ecosystem? This water is very essential to perform the various physiological, biological, and chemical process in the body. That means to perform the various biological activities, water is very essentially. So this water is always, that means nearly 60 to 70% of the body weight is made up of water. Every organism take water from the different sources like pond, river, water, lake, etc. Next, what is soil? What is soil? It is a mixture of different components where there is humus, minerals, small pieces of rocks, etc. are present. Even there is different kinds of organic matter, microorganisms, those are present in the soil. Next, this is soil, how this is observed. See, the plants used to grow on the soil, and also the system of water supply is also through the soil only, land, yeah, and recycling of these plants, and for the nutrients also soil is required. Some microorganisms are also growing in the soil. There is water cycle is also, or atmospheric cycles are also help, that means process. There is a role of this soil in the different organisms make their houses, their shelters in the soil. Next one is solar energy. All of you know that solar energy is the main source of energy which is provided in the form of heat and light directly, and indirectly plants are photosynthesizing food and those are transferring to different organisms. So this solar energy is called main source of energy. See, produce the food, consumers consume it, decomposer decompose it, but directly the main source of energy is solar energy. And without solar energy, no life is possible on the Earth's surface, as the photosynthesis is the base of making food. Without food, no one can survive. So the animals also maintain their body temperature. They get heat from the solar energy, and also it facilitates the life process of all the creatures by providing sufficient amount of heat and maintaining the temperature of the surrounding. Next, biotic factors. Already I have discussed so many things about the biotic factors. Yes, these are the green plants which are we call producers, and these are the animals which are present in an ecosystem. Those are called consumers, which used to consume the food prepared by these plants. And these are the decomposers which are present in the aquatic as well as land ecosystem. Next, in this already we have discussed about the producer. How these are called producer I have already discussed. That means these green plants contain chlorophyll. It used to prepare food by utilizing carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. So these are called producer. Next, and always producers convert the inorganic matter into organic matter. Those are consumed by all the organisms present in the ecosystem. As they are converting them, this inorganic complex, that means inorganic compound into the organic compound, and they are preparing their own food. These are called autotrophs. And most of the ecosystem have the large number of producer and less number of consumers, as they have to provide food to the each and every organisms. Next one is consumers. All of you know that there are different consumers. See, the level of consumer is different. Those which are directly feeding on the producer, those are primary consumers. Those are also called herbivores, and secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. Just here we can see in a community, organisms that depend on the producer for their food are called consumers, and the level of consumers depend on the feeding chain. That means in which level they are feeding. So there are different groups: primary consumers, secondary and tertiary consumers. What are primary consumers? Just here, primary consumers means they are directly depending only on the plants for the food. These are herbivores. Examples of these primary consumers are phytoplanktons, algae and all green plants. Similarly, what are secondary consumers? They depends on the primary consumers. Already I have discussed it. And for example, that means these are the low level of carnivores. They used to eating the flesh of the other animals. And for example, small fishes, already we have seen in the aquatic ecosystem, they used to feed on the aquatic insects and zooplankton too. And similarly, foxes, it used to feed on the deer, rabbits, etc. And frogs, it used to feed on the insects. So these are the secondary consumers. And tertiary consumers means which used to feed on the secondary consumers. Those directly depend on the secondary consumers. Those are called tertiary consumers. These are high level of consumers or the carnivores. These are also flesh eating animals. For example, tiger, lion, big fishes, whale, crocodile, etc. Next one is decomposer. What are decomposers? What do you mean by decomposers? Already you know that. Already we have discussed like mushroom, bacteria, these worms used to decompose the dead bodies of the plants and animals. So these are the decomposers. These decomposers are also called natural scavenger. Why? Why they are called natural scavenger? See, these organisms are decomposing the dead bodies of the plants and animals, and they are cleaning the nature. They are cleaning the nature. Because of that, these are called natural scavenger too. These organisms are very important, even though these are very small one. These are very important to complete the environmental cycle. See, if they will not decompose the plants and animals' dead body, what happens? They will remain as it is, and the nutrients required for the plants and the component, that means physical quantity of the physical components will be imbalanced. So, they play a very important role in the environment or the ecosystem. What is the interrelationship between the biotic and abiotic components of the ecosystem? Here the green plants, yeah, these green plants convert the abiotic factor into biotic components by photosynthesis. They are utilizing sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, and they are preparing the food by the process of photosynthesis. And these primary consumers are feeding on the plants, and these primary consumers are eaten by the secondary consumers. Again, these secondary consumers are eaten by the tertiary consumers. So, here these all consumers are directly or indirectly depending on these green plants, and these green plants are directly depending on the different physical components. So, how they are interrelated? See, again the death of these organisms is occur, and after death these are decomposed by these microorganisms or the decomposers, and again they will mix into the environment. So, they are related with each other. Let's practice some questions which we have learned. We have discussed about the environment and ecosystem. So, related to this, some question we discuss here. First question is, what type of components of ecosystem is shown in the figure? What type of components are these? What type of components? Can you say? What is shown here? There are plants, there are some animals, okay, birds, snake. What type of components are these? Yes. Which one? Biotic components, decomposers, zoophages, abiotic components. Which components are shown here? Can you say? Yes, these are biotic components. Okay, next question. What is the function of organisms shown in the given figure? See, there are different organisms are shown. There is earthworm, fungi, there is bacteria. What they do? Prepare their own food or not? Are preparing food for other creatures. Decaying the body of dead animals. Kills the organism for its food. What it does? Yes, very good. They decay the dead body of animals. Okay, so we have discussed different components of ecosystem. In next class, we will discuss about the different types of ecosystem. That's all for today. Thank you very much.